We're talking about a lot of consistency here, and I'm curious to see how long it took you guys to start making money since you started.
Oh, damn, that's a good. All right, guys. I'll start. I just started making money last year, and it's funny because I used to work. I had a corporate job, so around like 9 to 5, I would work, and then after 5, I would post my videos, and I think it was cool being invited to like an event like for Adidas. I'm like, oh wow. But it's hard as one of the things as a creator for everyone's watching. It's hard to tell people or agencies how much you charge. That's the hardest thing. I've gotten that a lot. Like, oh well, how much you get paid? I got paid this much. Like, oh wow, I charged like them like way less. But I think I started making money like last year around the summer. I started full-time content last year. For the first 6 months, I didn't make anything. So I was just using all my money, all my savings, until I got a really good brand deal with Modelo, and I was like, wow, damn, this much money for this many videos is crazy. So I think in general, it took me like maybe 3 years because I didn't take content seriously until.
I'm just saying because you guys definitely make it, right? Made
Yeah.
it, and for somebody that's starting,
Yeah.
just to understanding what's all the work that it's behind, and it's not like
No,
that.
it's a lot of work. And then I saw a video. I think Megan Reyes. She was talking about the net 30 and net 60 pay, where you got to wait like a month or 2 months to get paid. Which I think it's not the best thing, but it's one of the struggles as a content creator because you'll do the work, but you're gonna have to wait a long time to get paid. So it's I want to say content's not for everyone, but if you're willing to put in the work, you'll be successful.
Yeah, and I would also, to any new content creator, like not go into it thinking about money.
Oh yeah.
It's more thinking about the passion. I know that's how you started, about the passion. That's how a lot of people start. But there's also a lot of creators I'm meeting that like they're all about getting the World Cup brand deal. That's like their sole goal. And it's like, this is a long game thing for me. I know this is a long game thing for you, and it should be, you want to make a life out of this, not just capitalize on one thing very quickly. But for me, so I got lucky in my situation where I got to start early. I started very early in my life. So this has been my only ever job. But I started in high school just posting MLS graphics, and, I wasn't a video creator at first. But I got my first like mini sponsorship like 3 years into it as well, but I wasn't making real money. But then my first, I guess when I really started to make money was kind of in like 2021, 22 is when like brand deals really started to come in for me. I had been making videos at that point for I guess 2 years, but I'd been making content for 7 at that point. I didn't even know I was going to make a career out of this back then. And even like when I graduated college, there was no guarantee, even though I had brand deals coming in, there was no guarantee that I was going to be able to make a life out of this. But I kind of bet on myself in a way. I was very lucky to be in a situation where I could live with my parents for a couple years after college. And then as I continued to kind of elevate myself, that's when more deals came in. And now, I can say I do this full time. For me, I wasn't able to call this a full-time job until I moved out of my parents' house. Even though I was making semi-decent money while living with my parents, for me it was like, you can't call it a career until like you're financially independent,
Question for you, like,
Yeah.
what do your parents say about like doing this? Because my mom is like, like, do they really pay you? Like, how? Like, well, yeah, it's I guess well, for me, I don't know. It's for Mexican parents, they're like, that's not a typical job, so it's like,
Right. When you tell them, I want to be a soccer content creator,
Yeah.
what was the thought?
Yeah, I mean, my mom is just always like, ride or die support. Like whatever I set my mind to, she's like, she's all about it. My dad is a little bit tougher of a person. He's a very, I guess, traditionalist in like work and all that stuff, and that makes sense. So I mean, I was raised to always have a plan, to always like be more just to impress my dad, but more like I always had to like tell him what my next steps were before I even knew what they were. But I always had to like come up with the next steps and like tell him to like ease his anxieties about it. But I think, as I started to get bigger and more brands started to come in, he gets it now. It took him a while to, but he definitely understands it, and he sees the confidence I have in it, but also just the rise in it. And like I said, even now that I am full time, I still have to tell him what my 5-year plan is and all that stuff. So like it's honestly a blessing. Like it might sound stressful, but I think it's also like a blessing in a way that he makes me do that to him, because then it gets me really thinking about, you know, how I am going to get to the next step, rather than like, I'd love to enjoy the moment more, but I've never been able to live in the moment. I'm always I'm always trying to be 5 steps ahead. But you know, that's kind of how that worked with my parents and I. But my mom is just like, always just like, if she could wear a t-shirt with my face on it at whatever I do, if she could pull up to this podcast and just have a t-shirt with my face being like, "Go Eli," she would have done that this morning. But
she definitely subscribe after this.
Oh yeah.
This podcast. So do you think, in terms of revenue, right now most of the revenue would come from brand deals? Is it fair to say? Do you see other ways that you guys can capitalize, maybe now or maybe in the future?
I mean, maybe if we get big enough, we could have like other businesses that we could use our like name and likeness. I tried to make merch, and you know, that was more of a passion thing than like a trying to make money off it. I'm wearing the hat right now. But you know, like little things like that could be ways to capitalize on you as a creator. But right now, no, it really is brand deals. That's the only way I see us, you know, making money for the time being.
Potentially like platforms as well, right? When you hit certain numbers, they pay you.
Of course. But you know, I will say, like, for me, being a content creator hasn't been my end goal, and it never has been my end goal. But for me, it's always been to use to get to that next, what I want to do next.
Which is?
I'd love to be a broadcaster. That was always my dream. You know, for me, I would love to be a studio analyst or studio host. Like if you watch MLS 360 or the wrap-up show, like my dream has always been to be the guy hosting that. So that's why I've built my platform. It's to try to become
manifesting
that guy.
right now.
I don't thank you. Yeah, that's always been my end goal.
We're gonna use this clip in 2 years or whatever it is.
10 years from now, here's Eli 10 years.
But yeah, that's what I went to school for, and it's also just that's been my lifelong dream. It's why I make content in the first place. So that's still the goal. So hopefully one day I could be a salaried employee and not a brand deal employee.
I love it because you are using another avenue to get to being a broadcaster, right? Most of the guys, they probably just go straight to it, but you find your own way and your own path.
Yeah, and I noticed that when I was in, you know, school for journalism, there was a lot of my friends, you know, they became daily news reporters in the middle of Nebraska or stuff like that after college. And I realized like that wasn't the path I wanted to go. I wanted to come back to LA after school. And, you know, because I was building an MLS audience, and that was always the end goal. It's risky to like close yourself into one thing. But I felt, and I still feel very confident that like I'll be able to make it to where I want doing what I'm doing.
I guess for me, I've thought about it too. It's because like, do I want to be a content creator in my life? Maybe, but my goal, my background's in marketing. That's what I got my degree. So like, so my goals are like working for like a professional team and either first division, either in Europe, here, or second division. But I do miss like I miss the marketing work behind the scenes or the social media, because I've been doing social media and marketing for like almost since college. So I want to work like in a pro team and then start somewhere a little bit lower, like in a lower division team, and grow that, you know,
the Wrexham effect.
Basically the Wrexham, or just a team that may not have the budget, and sometimes not having a low budget makes it more fun to be creative. So, you know, start all the way to the top and work my way to the bottom again to grow that brand and that team all the way up from what I know, from what I've learned, pretty much.
I mean, you are experiencing yourself.
Yeah, and also too, I want to help other creators. I feel like this creator thing is still like recently new for everybody, even for us. So I'm pretty sure in the future there's gonna be more creators, but I want to help like maybe like a specific amount of people to like grow their channels. You know, teach them what I know, what I see. I guess like my own agency in a way. That's for now. That's what I have in mind.